Tonight, a First Nation in fear after a deadly shooting and reports of more gunshots.
Dad, can you just straighten out your legs there?
Tight squeeze. WestJet is under fire for shrinking legroom on its planes. And an Indigenous radio network turns 40. How one broadcaster keeps communities informed and culture alive.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It's Thursday, January 8th. CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening, and thanks for joining us. I'm Alexander Silberman. A Northern Saskatchewan First Nation remains gripped by fear after a deadly shooting and an ongoing manhunt. Big Island Lake Cree Nation's only school is shut down in wake of the violence. Katie Swires now with the tension shaking the community and the latest on the search for those responsible.
Road checks, a closed school, and shortened business hours at the local store. Just some of the signs of a community on edge after a deadly shooting killed one person and left 3 in hospital. 31-year-old Neil Wapistaquan was fatally shot on this gravel road early in the morning on December 30th, and 2 days later, a second round of gunfire left bullet holes in homes. The violent incidents sparking tension on Big Island Lake Cree Nation, about 400 kilometers northwest of Saskatoon, and police are still searching for 2 men believed to be responsible.
It's scaring our whole community. It's and putting us in fear. People are not coming around, it's like a ghost around here.
Community members say the shooting is the latest in a wave of violence.
We had an incident at the school early November where there was a threat there, and a kid went there with a gun. So I've kept my kids home from that.
Big Island Lake Cree Nation has long struggled to curb addiction issues and gang violence.
I've lost half my classmates because of drugs and alcohol.
This worker at the community's detox center says he's seen the toll it's taken. Systematic issues which have long rocked the small community of about 900 residents, where many are related.
I used to go around talking to schools about drugs and gangs, and and the first thing I said is they're targeting our young people.
The community's RCMP office burned down 5 years ago without a consistent police presence. The band is turning to hiring private security.
We'll be living here. We'll be responding to the complaints and do what we can do. As a security company and private investigators, we can arrest when we find somebody committing a criminal code offense and then turn them over to the police.
A temporary measure for now, but residents are pushing for long-term solutions.
It's not going to end. I think it's going to keep going as long as there's drugs here.
A deep crisis amid anger and heartbreak, and a community desperate for solutions. Katie Swires, CBC News, Regina.
Protests are continuing in Minneapolis and other major U.S. cities after an immigration agent shot and killed a woman. And state officials say they have been shut out of the investigation after the FBI took full control of the case.
It feels very, very difficult that we will get a fair outcome. And I say that only because people in positions of power have already passed judgment.
Protests erupted in the aftermath of the shooting, with angry demonstrators facing off against law enforcement officers. People are also coming together to remember the shooting victim, Renee Nicole Good, a 37-year-old mother of 3. Video appears to show Good driving away from officers as an agent opened fire. But federal officials are doubling down on their account of the shooting as an act of self-defense. Back in this province, we have new details on a story we brought you about a controversial ALS health center. A lawyer and medical ethics expert says he filed a formal complaint about the Dr. Goodenow Restorative Health Center in Moose Jaw, but is now asking why the city's police service claims it has no record of previous complaints. In June, Martin Letendre filed a complaint about the center after a CBC investigation raised questions about its treatment of one of its clients, a woman suffering from ALS. In his online complaint, Letendre alleged the Goodenow Center is involved in fraud. He says he received a notification that police had received it. But recently, when officers launched an investigation following a complaint from the opposition NDP, police claimed it had no record of any previous complaint. Letendre says that's alarming.
It gives the impression that there is some form of shielding or protection around Goodenow and his clinic. It raises a fundamental question about the trust in the trust in our institutions.
Moose Jaw police say their investigation will involve a deeper dive into their own records. The head of the Goodenow Center, Dayan Goodenow, says his program is legitimate and he's done nothing wrong. WestJet is under fire after a video went viral of passengers struggling with a lack of legroom. The airline says it has redesigned the interior of some of its planes. Julia Wong shows us the narrow seating plan and the concern it's raising.
Dad, could you just straighten out your legs there?
Impossible.
This video of a tight squeeze for an Alberta family on a recent WestJet flight has gone viral, showcasing passenger legroom or a lack of it.
You have to pay for the other leg.
Amanda Schmidt shot the video of her 6-foot 3-inch tall father cramped into his non-reclining seat.
If they're selling a seat for a human, it should fit a human. It's inhumane, basically, to make people travel like this.
In an email, WestJet said the plane in the video is one of our newly reconfigured aircraft. Later responding on X, we understand that the reconfigured seating isn't ideal for everyone, and adding it's listening closely to feedback. Last month, WestJet paused the plan to install non-reclining seats on more planes after receiving negative feedback. Passengers have concerns.
How can you sit like that for like a big long-haul flight? Like we're flying to the UK, so that would be pretty disastrous.
It's terrible, really. If you want any sort of reasonable travel, you have to pay extra.
One aviation expert says seats with reduced legroom are common in Europe, but less so in Canada, and thinks Ottawa should step in.
There is no oversight, there is no governance, there is no regulation associated with the amount of space that customers are entitled to.
Schmidt's father is also calling for change.
The aviation authority should have some play in kind of standardizing the requirements or the minimum requirements.
CBC News reached out to Transport Canada asking if legroom should be a passenger right. The department did not respond by our deadline. Julia Wong, CBC News, Edmonton.
As rents keep climbing and affordable housing becomes harder to find in Saskatchewan, some pet owners are facing heartbreaking decisions to secure a place to live. As Ashwarya Duda shows us, a growing number are being forced to give up their beloved cats and dogs.
I love him so much, and he loves me.
Valeria Woloshin is getting ready to retire. This summer, she'll be on a reduced and fixed income. She wants to move into seniors' housing in Saskatoon, but the housing she applied for doesn't allow pets.
I don't want to let go of him. It would just break my heart.
Now, Woloshin is facing a difficult choice: live in affordable housing and give up her lovable friend, or move to Manitoba and away from her family so she can keep her cat.
I really don't know. I have no idea at this point.
Woloshin's situation is an example of how the no pets policies at rental listings across the city is impacting tenants. Often they face higher rents and fewer choices. And for some, it means giving up on not just a pet, a family member.
Out of 10 submissions, we may get 30 to 50% will be because of unable to find adequate living circumstances.
Isn't that crazy?
It's heartbreaking.
New Hope Dog Rescue has about 90 dogs in care, living in foster homes. Researchers agree losing the emotional bond with an animal can be devastating for humans and the pets themselves.
She made a lot of stressful days bearable.
Claire Paulson has depression and says her dogs help motivate her to move forward in life. But she says finding a place to live with them was tough.
It's frustrating to try to find a space, and when you do find somebody that accepts pets, you kind of have to sell that a little bit to them. and tell them why. It's almost like a job interview for your pets. And I always say that my dogs probably have better references than I do.
Paulson pays a monthly $25 pet fee and considers herself lucky. Often, it can be higher or require damage deposits. As for Woloshin, she's still looking for affordable housing in Saskatoon. She's trying to get Buddy declared an emotional support animal because she says giving him up is just not an option. Ashwarya Duda, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Well, it was a beautiful winter day here in the provincial capital with blue skies and lots of sunshine as temperatures climbed a little bit warmer. We'll have your full weather forecast right after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. In the most remote parts of northern Saskatchewan, local radio stations are a lifeline when danger strikes. And the Missinippi Broadcasting Corporation, a pioneer in the field, is celebrating 4 decades on the air. Ethan Williams shows us how the station went from humble beginnings to a vital source of Indigenous language and culture.
So I'm just doing an intro,
It's 10 a.m. at the Missinippi Broadcasting Corporation building in La Ronge, and Missinippi Achimewin is on the air.
Well,
Abel Charles hosts this program for an hour each weekday, speaking almost entirely in Cree. He started with MBC when it was founded 40 years ago.
I'm supposed to be here, I think. I get to listen to elders, visit elders, and my cultural knowledge is enriched, the language is enriched, and I really like the job, and I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
And a big part of his job is interviewing other Cree speakers to hear their perspectives.
Yes, I've heard stories that the people in North Battleford are running to the fort and hiding in there because they're shooting. The Indians were coming and they were shooting. What the Indigenous people telling me was, yes, we were going to North Battleford, but we were shooting rabbits along the way. It's not that we're going there to threaten anybody. So there's that perspective,
This is the logo, and I love the logo.
Former NBC and CBC radio broadcaster Tom Roberts says radio and the Cree language in particular go hand in hand.
Whatever you're talking about, you describe what you're talking about. And that's how radio works. You describe what you're talking about. And to do a simultaneous translation, it wouldn't work. It would get all mixed up and you wouldn't understand what you describe what you're telling. And it makes it much more personal.
He says radio is deeply ingrained in the culture of the North, getting its start with people on the trap line communicating vital information over walkie-talkies.
Radio is a lifeline to the land, to the people.
Especially when it's a life and death situation. Buildings in and around La Ronge burned during wildfires this past spring. MBC stayed on the air, providing an outlet for local officials like Tammy Cook-Searson to warn people in ways they could understand.
Many of our members are first language Cree, first language Dene. And when you give a message out there that's in Cree, then our community members are able to understand it. Or if you put a message out there that's in Dene, then community members that first language is Dene, then they're able to understand it.
The Wolf Lake Fire.
Over in Isle La Crosse, Robert Morasti tells his listeners on CILX-FM about a nearby fire. He lives and works in the community. He says he knows what's going on there and who his audience is.
I speak Michip and I can speak Cree. Very little English is done here. It's all in both languages. And the elders love it because they can understand us. They can understand what we're talking about. And plus, they become a little bit more learned in what's going on out there.
Northern radio is like a family of close connections, so when he needs a little help with a sports report, he knows exactly who he can rely on.
So what I do is I call the community radio station in Beauval, and I talk to Siboy, who is also a very good language speaker, but he's well informed about sports. So I gave him a call. Then I called Pachinak, the other radio announcer there, and he's also pretty informed, up to date in sports. So these guys are actually helping me out in the sports area.
Well,
It's those connections that keep these small but mighty stations on the air, connecting listeners one broadcast at a time. Ethan Williams, CBC News, La Ronge. And it's time to check in with CBC weather specialist Mickey Wolf. Mickey, what a beautiful day out there today with those blue skies and all of that sunshine. How are things looking as we head closer to the weekend?
Well, Alexander, things are continuing to look, might I say, gorgeous. We have got some really beautiful weather ahead of us for most people in Saskatchewan. Let's take a look at our daytime highs. First, though, a little bit of a cool down today, especially in the south, but central region was seeing some reasonable daytime highs considering we are well into January, and our skies right now are bringing just a touch of flurries across the south and a little bit of cloudy skies, but those cloudy skies should be clearing up as we get into the weekend. So we've got a low pressure system moving out of the province right now. It's going to bring potentially some overnight flurries and daytime flurries tomorrow, especially for that southeast corner of the province. As we get into Friday and Saturday, we will see some breaks before a little bit more snow, especially in the north up there. We've got that low pressure system coming in from the Northwest Territories and the Yukon, so that might be bringing in a little bit of snow there. And how much snow? We're not going to see too much snow in south and central Saskatchewan, potentially just up to 2 centimeters in the central region, and then a little bit for Yorkton as well down in the south. Up in the north, though, we do have a little bit of gradual snowfall moving into Sunday. This model is predicting potentially up to 5 centimeters for Cree Lake. We will see a little bit of winds gusting, though, tomorrow. We do have a sunnier day for south and central Saskatchewan, but that is going to be tempered by these winds gusting up to 40, potentially even 50 in parts of the south. So that's going to make things feel a little bit chillier. And you can see that reflected in still these wind chill factors for the morning time tomorrow morning to close out your work week. We are going to have a chillier start to the day for Saskatoon. But in Regina, we've got a beautiful day ahead of us tomorrow. We're looking at overnight temperatures quite cool Friday evening, so definitely bundle up if you're going out. Then we've got a really gorgeous Sunday, Monday. We're going to see those temperatures rise just above freezing before things still kind of, get a little bit chillier into the week, especially as we get to Thursday, but it should be hanging out around 0 to make that windy day ahead of us a little bit more bearable. Saskatoon, we will also see a warm up here. Monday is looking quite warm, and then things will kind of hang out just at that 0 degree mark for our work week next week, and then finishing off the week with a little bit of windy weather there. So Alexander, we do have some really gorgeous weather to look forward to overall in Saskatchewan.
We'll take it. Thanks, Mickey.
Thank you.
One of the highest profile Liberal politicians of the last decade says she'll step down Friday as a member of Parliament. Former Cabinet Minister Chrystia Freeland is leaving Canadian politics after accepting a role as an advisor to the President of Ukraine. She has represented the Toronto riding of University Rosedale since 2015. Her departure means a by-election must be held within 6 months. Ticketmaster is at the center of a new class action lawsuit approved in Quebec. The suit accuses the American company of charging excessive service fees on ticket sales and that it violates Quebec's Consumer Protection Act and the Quebec Civil Code. A judge says the plaintiffs meet the conditions for a full trial and refunds would be allowed if they win the case. A similar lawsuit in Saskatchewan was settled last year with a total payout of $6 million. This new edible innovation at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas is letting people not just hear music, but also taste it. The Lollipop Star is a candy that plays music. Users cover their ears while licking the candy to experience the song. The music is transmitted using bone conduction technology. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back. Well, it's been a bad winter for slush on many southern and central Saskatchewan lakes. Ice fishers are now removing shacks just weeks after setting them up to avoid getting stuck. The Saskatchewan Snowmobile Association says an unseasonably warm November was followed by a short cold spell and then big dumps of snow. The ice that formed is being insulated by the snow on top of it. That means it's not freezing up as well, leading to slush.
We've definitely been encountering these late seasons for the ice to freeze enough. If you think back to our winters in the last while, we've been having those mild starts to them.
So that's kind of the crazy thing is, you can go out there on a -30 day and it feels like things should be frozen, and you kick the snow away and, there's a couple inches of water or more sitting on top.
Not only that, temperatures above freezing should arrive next week, starting on Sunday. Seaman says before going on the ice, you should test the thickness yourself. And Mickey Wolf is back with a final look at the weather. Mickey, how are things looking for those ice fishers dealing with all that slush?
Alexander, it's going to keep looking slushy for those ice fishers, but maybe instead of fishing, they could go for a beautiful sunny walk. Let's take a look at some of the temperatures ahead of us in the province for the next 24 hours. We've got a warmer evening for the south and central regions. Wind chill is going to make things feel a little bit cooler in the central region, potentially down to -27 in some parts. And similarly for the far north, we'll see those overnight wind chill factors down to -30. We're also looking at a little bit of flurries this evening, and that should be moving out by the time we get to the midday hour tomorrow, and we'll see some peaks of sun, especially for Buffalo Narrows. Things will look a little bit sunnier tomorrow. In the central and south region of the province, we do have potentially some of those flurries moving across, especially in the southeast there. But then as we get to the midday hours and into the end of the working day, we're going to see some really beautiful skies for a lot of the south and central region. And again, this is a little preview of the substantial warm-up we will see by Sunday. So Alexander, it's definitely walking weather, not so much fishing weather yet.
All right, thanks, Mickey.
Thank you.
And that's how things looked in our province on this Thursday. For more news anytime, you can head on over to our website, cbc.ca/sask. You can also download the CBC News app. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here tomorrow evening. Take care.